All right. Hey, folks. Looks like I got my setup back up and running. So give me a second here for me to check my signal, make sure everything's coming through okay. I'm probably really, really loud right now. I've got a quick intro, so if you want to skip forward a minute, I'll get into the artwork for the day. Yeah, that's pretty loud. Let's drop that down like that. Check, 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 check. Okay, that's good enough. I'm doing some quick social media posts, so stick with me for like half a minute and then we'll be up and running. Socials, and socials. Here we go. All right, so I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, I publish them online. I've been concentrating on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition here. I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2018. I've been a DM since 1987, a freelance illustrator since 1999, and an Eberron enthusiast since 2004, but I haven't created an adventure yet. So Crystals of Mabar is my first effort to do so, and boy, we're having a blast. We're episode 420 today, so in celebration of that, let's make some fog. So this is the book cover. We made this around episode 40. Here on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications of when we're live in the future. Thanks a lot for all the new support, guys. I really appreciate you. Here's the full 420 playlist. This book cover was around episode 40. Here's my Discord community hanging out. Here's Patreon support. Thanks a lot for help. Here's a bunch of books that I've previously created, including the 5-color mana spell point variant rules, converting Magic the Gathering, the D&D, Vancian Magic, and 8 schools of magic. Get rid of that and replace it with the 5 schools of magic and a color mana pool for characters to cast spells. We're also building the martial power system, what we're playtesting on Saturday, which gives all the martial characters a mana pool as well. So all 13 characters are utilizing the same mana system to express their characters. And there's so much we can do now that we're potentially having Lorwyn going to be, or Lorwyn Shadowdale, I think, is the newest MTG setting that's being hinted at being created today. So we want to start clearing a path for that because once this adventure is done, Bastion campaigns, which we streamed last night, and Magic the Gathering is going to be my center of activity probably for another year. So excited, very excited. Talking about being excited, when we last left off, we were making our Yugoloth rise above the rest. We're using the new MTG, the new Monster Manual artwork for color referencing. So let's just go ahead and get right back into it. Today I only got about an hour. My light ended up working, so hopefully that won't be a problem in the future, but my camera was also broken, so I had to get that fixed. And so now we're back at it. So we'll be here for an hour today, but I'll be off for the rest of the day. I'm gonna be doing I'm playing D&D with my team at work today. And yeah, let's make that a little bit bigger. Perfect. We're playing. We're using the Guild Delver system at my work. They're playtesting the first campaign with it. We're about halfway through the campaign. It's been a year since we've started playing, literally a year now, almost to the day. And so far so good. They're having a lot of fun. It's a very light beer and pretzel-y sort of game. It's all ability checks, so it's fast mechanical resolution. And we're using Spelljammer Eberron as our setting to experiment with as a mix of fantasy and sci-fi magic. Sci-fi magic. Well, hi. Just curious about what Crystals of Mabar is about. I plan to take my party to Mabar for the campaign. climax, so this would be cool to know about. This is taking place in the Carnwood of Carnath on the continent of Corvair. Welcome to the mix, by the way. So the idea is that there's 6 plot hooks, depending on if you're introducing it into a campaign or if it's a standalone adventure. It's built for a party of 7th or 8th level characters, and so it might not be very useful to you right now. However, just for reference, it's a 16:9 format. Let me go ahead and do the thing here real quick, because if you full screen your monitor right now, I'm using a 12-point font. So if I get this the right size, it'll be just about like that. So if you were to hold your device this way, you'll be able to see all 3 panels at the same time. 16:9 format, but each individual column, if you hold it horizontally, it won't work for you right now, but vertically in a PDF, if you hold it vertically like this, each of these columns is a 16:9 format as well. So it's very much intended to be a digital project. There. And so maybe relevant to you, the Crystals of Mabar, it's about hold on, let me get into a space here, and I'll start walking you through a brief synopsis of what the adventure does. I just want to get into a place where I can mash on some anatomy so I can let my brain turn off and start talking. I'm going to up that a little bit. Okay, there we go. That's pretty good pace. Hey, Fox. Yep. Got everything back up and running again. For better or worse. Okay, Crystals of Mabar, what are we all about here? Okay, so your characters, here's the walkthrough. There's 6 different plot lines, but the default plot hook is that your 7th or 8th level characters are deputized by Fort Bastion, because there are a number of refugee and displaced citizens that are starting to form farming communities along the Carnath heartland to the southeastward area. Basically, wherever the Carnwood is at, drop south and east of that. That's going to be what your Carnwood heartland. It's all grasslands like the Great Plains in America. So it's ripe for herding, and closer to the Carnwood forest is good farmland. So the problem is that the Carnwood is known to be haunted, so most people won't settle there if they have the choice. But these are either Siren refugees or decommissioned soldiers that don't have property because their entire life has been spent in war. So these communities crop up where, if you're willing to farm, we're willing to have you, no questions asked. We need citizens, and we need food, and we need peace. So help us do that. So Sirens and Carnathi are starting to intermingle in these refugee farms, and one of them along the edge of the Carnwood, pretty far east, has had people start disappearing. So they send a message to Fort Bastion saying, hey, something weird is happening here, but as far as the government's concerned, it's not weird for refugees and displaced workers to just disappear. So, but they can't be ignored, because if they're going to say that these are citizens, they have to treat them like citizens. So they are going to deputize the characters to go out and find out what the problem is. With a badge, the characters have literal authority to ask questions and investigate whatever they deem necessary to get to the bottom of whatever's going on with this refugee situation. So when they get there, it turns out there's a bunch of undead in the forest, and there's soldiers that aren't letting them get further in. Well, the soldiers are mercenaries that are hired by the cult of the Emerald Claw to help create some protection against their operations while they create an artificial manifest zone to the plane of Mabar using an artifact called the Eye of Mabar. Here we're showing this Yugoloth. Its face is actually, its central eye is actually a Mabaran symbol. This is the Eye of Mabar set into the head of a Yugoloth. You use this artifact as a spellcaster. It takes 46 days, which is the entire cycle of Sephiroth, the moon that is linked to the plane of Mabar. From new moon to new moon, You perform the ritual non-stop. The artifact will sustain you, so you don't need to eat, sleep, or drink. So you just perform the ritual, and you're also paralyzed while the ritual is being performed, so you literally have nothing else to do other than the ritual. A chrysalis of necrotic energy forms around you over the course of those 46 days. During those days, a manifest zone basically sprouts from the nexus where your character is located with the Eye of Mabar. It continues to expand. It's 5 miles. Basically, it's a 5-mile area right now. And once the ritual completes, it permanizes, and the nexus becomes an open portal to the plane of origin, the plane of Mabar. So in the process, the spellcaster, if everything goes accordingly, the spellcaster basically liquefies and then reforms into an Ultraloth with the Eye of Mabar set into its face, as we can see depicted here. This is what happens if your team fails at stopping the ritual. A new Ultraloth is created that has access to a portal that leads directly into Mabar. Ultraloth are the high commanders of the Yugoloth. So a new one shows up. It's basically like having a new pit fiend just basically wink into existence because a wizard said so. So it basically cracks open a portal to Mabar, walks in, gathers an army of demon and undead, marches out, and starts attacking Karnath. That's the plan. Raid and have fun. If you fall, then I'll just be reborn in the plane of Mabar. So this thing literally has nothing to lose. It's basically just free zoning right now for it. So your characters find out that there's undead in the Carnwood. They follow the undead back to what is apparently an unknown manifest zone in the forest. They explore the manifest zone, find various locations under control of these mercenaries, and but the mercenaries are really feeling like this is a dumb deal because they didn't realize there's going to be a bunch of undead running around to kill them. They were told that they were going to be providing security detail and fending off any potential monsters while these government workers go in and try to secure the dungeon that this is taking place in. But since getting there, it's only getting worse because they're performing this ritual. They said that they're trying to purge the area of evil, but they're actually just making it worse. So the mercenaries are like, this is a really bad deal. We should get the hell out of this, but it's their first gig after the war ended, and it turns out they realize now that it's with the Emerald Claw. So if they try to back out now, they're probably going to get murdered. If not by these guys, by whatever cult they're attached to. They're dead. So they are sticking to it. Unhappily, they're sticking. And so when the characters show up with badges, they're like, oh my God, what a miracle. Here's some stuff that's been going on. We don't actually know what's happening. We just know these are all the weird things that are happening and that there's more undead than there used to be. And the guys that hired us have been suspiciously incognito for a couple of weeks now. We want out. We're looking for an excuse. And so if the characters exert their authority to openly investigate these law-abiding mercenaries who have legal authority who have the legal right to form an adventuring party like this, are recognizing that they are now potentially on the wrong side of the law. So they're doing everything they can to win back interest. Unless, of course, the characters use an alternate plot hook. Only the original plot hook actually gives them legal authority to be there. The rest of them are either trying to sneak in or kill their way in and destroy the ritual from happening. It could be the gatekeepers. It could be the Silver Flame. Ader Academy, the artifact was stolen from Ader Academy, so they want it back. So you're not there to kill people. You're actually given a little crystal that can take images, like a camera. You're there to gather evidence, reclaim the artifact, so stop the ritual, get the artifact back, take it back to Ader Academy, and bring with it evidence of why they were there and who was it, so that they can prosecute, so that Ader Academy doesn't lose any grants or their right to hold on to these dangerous materials, machines, and artifacts to explore their potential use in Karnath. They have the Eye of Mabar. Solzu, the head guy that's running the Emerald Claw, he was military intelligence during the last war, so he had access to all of this information. So when he got outed with the end of the war, he's now lost all his status, his lifestyle, and he's on a criminal watch list, potentially being considered a terrorist. So he's definitely reading he's reading the room, and he's recognizing that he needs to take action. So he figured, well, if this manifest zone thing is true and it creates a manifest zone, we can exploit that. So the soil in the manifest zone is being terraformed into basically coffee grinds, which are like super small Mabaran crystals. A large size mana stone worth of dead, animate dead, speak with dead, or any kind of material components you need for any darkness spells. So they're literally farming material components that are worth like 500 gold piece gems to set on the eyes of things to be able to perform necrotic rituals with their bodies. This is basically dirt. So if they can permanentize a manifest zone that's converting dirt into spell components, they're going to make stupid money. Well, with the cult anyway, because whoever's making undead is going to need this stuff. So Solzu's was attempting to quietly create this environment and farm it for all it's worth, and then potentially sell it off for someone else to try to defend. But it all goes pear-shaped on them. It's a lot more hostile than they expected. The undead can't be controlled, so they're not allies. They're potential threats to the Emerald Claw just as much as they're a threat to the mercenaries and the villages that are in the surrounding areas. The big problem is that the ritual needs human sacrifices to keep going. Otherwise, it'll collapse and it kills the caster. So they've been stealing villagers from these refugee towns. And so when your character gets there, you'll find the prison where they're being held in this underground military facility that's a fortress, a cemetery, and a research location. Go in, rescue the villagers, arrest or kill the necromancers, shut down the operation, report back to Fort Bastion, and if you don't destroy the artifact, return it to Ader Academy. If it is destroyed, it's made from literally from Mabar materials. So if you destroy it here in Eberron, it's just going to reform in Mabar, and it could then be retrieved and redistributed into Eberron for someone else to fire up the manifest zone with. So that might be useful to you. In the end, this is like, say, an 8th level adventure. That's the Eye of Mabar to create the manifest zone of Mabar, but we have a theoretical 12 other artifacts that each have their own ritual to create, stabilize, and permanentize a manifest zone to these different planes of origin and create portals to them. So if you were to run a full campaign, level 8, you get the Eye, level 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and by 20th level, you've assembled all 13 artifacts, which if, like, say you're playing the Gatekeeper plotline, the Druidic Gatekeepers want all of these because then they can control coterminous events, potentially prevent disasters like having hell merge with the planet for 1,000 years. They can dodge that shit. So they can reshape the orbits or even reshape the planes themselves. Like, they could turn this into the Great Wheel of the 16 lanes. Like, they could link all those 16 planes if they wanted to get rid of the classic 13. Or they can stabilize the orbits. They can change the orbits. They can change the environments. They can reshape these planes of existence that are in orbit around Eberron, along with their moons. So that's, if you have all 13, you can perform the Ritual of All and reshape reality, which would be a great 20th level quest. But obviously, you have been running it for 13 levels, so it becomes a thing. A side benefit is the fortress that your team finds in the Carnwood at the center of the Manifest Zone. If you want a bastion, that becomes your bastion. And the mercenaries that potentially switch teams and helps you, they become your hirelings. So you can then gain authority, permanent authority over that area, and that becomes your home base. And there can be any number of undead that have already escaped into the Carnwood before you got there, so you can have an ongoing undead theme. You can get involved in Karnath politics if you want. The refugee issue is a thing. The Emerald Claw is going to want vengeance. Sadly for everyone, the 12, the Super Friends of Evil, the Legion of Doom. Sorry, the Legion of Doom of Eberron, all made of liches and like archmages and shit. They funded this operation. So one of the plot hooks is the necromancers betrayed you. Big fucking surprise. We wouldn't have hired you if you didn't have that ambition. But you did it poorly, so we're going to kill you and replace you with our more loyal people. So your characters are hired as a Wetworks team to get plane shifted into the final dungeon and to go on a kill mission to eliminate everyone. Or at minimum to reactivate a teleportation circle that they use to transport materials to the location. Well, the teleportation circle doesn't work anymore. The Emerald Claw disabled it. So send in a Wetwork team to kill people, send you in as a stealth team to reactivate the magic circle, mix and match as you please. But the priority is to activate the circle so that the 12 can send in new operatives, specialists that are going to be able to perform the ritual without having all that Emerald Claw cult business wrapped around it. It becomes just a sterile capitalist maneuver. And but if you crash if you crash it and destroy the crystals, blah blah blah, you're gonna get pissed. So you're gonna make an enemy of the 12. You can go with the silver. If the silver flame was a plot hook that you used, then you can curve into the alternate artifacts, because their diviners are detecting a flare of someone else is attempting to collect these artifacts and are creating manifest zones in different locations around the world. So your characters are sent to combat that, if that's how you want to run your game. There's also one of the plot lines is your characters know family members that have settled in the village, and they've invited you to basically, if you ever need a flop house or someplace to hide, you're welcome to be here anytime that you want. So say around level 7, 8, your characters take advantage of this, show up and realize that everyone in town has been killed by undead, and all the tracks lead into the forest that leads to the manifest zone, which leads to the underground temple, the underground facility, which leads to the necromancers, which leads to the artifact, and the character doesn't know anything about any of this. So they may decide just to keep the artifact and create their own manifest zone, which comes with its own bag of rats. Or they can decide this is evil, let's destroy it. I guess it'll probably come down to whether or not the family is killed or not, which is up to the DM. So that's the quick skinny of it. That might not be useful to you. Hey, I'm done talking. Hey, that's awesome. One of the party members had military company family that was taken from a bar. Was taken by a bar, and the goal is to get them back for whatever. Holy shit. Well, it's going to be a number of months before this thing publishes. But if you join my Discord channel and ask me about it, I can get some rough draft material to you. But we're still working on the page layouts, which means I'm still having to condense and rearrange some of the text in it. But I ran this with 4 different parties during playtesting, and I had 2 separate DMs run it as well. And so I could get that to you if you need. I don't know what your timeline is, but hit me up on Discord, and I'm happy to help. So when this publishes, if you check out all my other stuff on the DMsGuild down here, all this stuff is free. It's all 100% free preview. You can read all these books cover to cover without having to buy anything. They're not like Spelljammer Combat and Exploration. It's like 102 pages of mechanics for using ship, fleet, squadron, and mass combat with ships in the Spelljammer setting using 5e character combat action economy. And it has a full conversion guide to the Crystals of Mabar. Like, you can read that. You can run the entire Light of Xeraxis campaign. Sorry, it has an appendix at the back for Light of Xeraxis, converting that to a mass combat system. And you can run that entire campaign without paying me a dime. People, sometimes, this is not me pitching. It's me saying that eventually everyone's going to have this adventure available to view in the same way. So all my content is always free preview. So I'd rather people be able to read the stuff than you know, and buy it because they think it's good than to buy it on a guess, not like it, and then not trust me anymore. It's like, I'd rather you trust me up front. But all I'm saying is that that's not a sales pitch. It's saying that when this book publishes, it's going to be 100% free preview. So me giving it to people early that are using it in their games, it's no skin off my teeth. You could have just waited a couple months and gotten access to this on your own. So I don't know what your timeline is, but I'll attempt to assist you with if needed. The new 2024 Monster Manual, I am in favor of it. I like what it does. I like how it feels. I don't necessarily agree with everything that's going on with it. I'm still digesting it, but from what I've read so far, I've been pretty happy with it. I think it legitimately ups the game on monsters. I was looking at the mob rules. I was thinking I could use the mob rules in here because it helps resolve large groups, but it's about as clumsy as Thaco. Basically, Wizards in the DMG 24, they basically brought back Thaco for handling mobs attacking characters. It's a little funny, but otherwise it's kind of clumsy. I really wish I had already published my my mass combat book for soldiers, because goddamn, it would really help. Because your characters are 8th level, like zombies are CR 1/2. Like, you have to throw 40 zombies at your characters for them to be a challenge, and that's not realistic for this adventure. But I can throw mobs, like I could throw 8 CR2 undead, like ghasts or specters. I can throw but those are like 2 4x4 mobs that I can attack you separately. But the DMG 24 doesn't have good rules for attacking as packs. It just says if you get attacked by a pack of monsters, figure out the percentage of hitting your the characters based on the attack bonus of the monsters and the armor class of the target. This will give you a percent of monsters that will hit, and the larger the group, the more monsters are going to hit on that percentage, and then you roll that many dice. So if I've got 20 undead that are attacking you and there's only a 5% chance they hit, only 1 undead hits, and so you just roll damage for that 1 undead, but you don't roll to attack, you just automatically hit with that 1 undead. So the DM, once the DM figures out how many undead can hit your characters in a round, then you just, like, if it's 2d6 is the normal damage, and after calculations, 4 undead should attack, that's going to be 8d6 worth of undead hammering your characters each turn. And they just automatically hit. They basically become a hazard, not a combatant. And then your character removes the threat by killing them one at a time, or with mass combat, like area of effect spells, or whatever. I've got too many wrinkles going on here. I need to... First off, I need to set that like that. I'm going to make another layer here. I'm going to take this highlight like that, and I'm going to grease all this in here to fill that out. So I'm not happy with the resolution. My plan is in the monster appendix here, where we're introducing new monsters and the monsters that you encounter in general. My plan was to have, like, on the left panel here, have the normal statistics of the monsters on an individual level, and then here have an illustration, like a token that we've done, and then here have the mob rules, so that it would take this monster block and then convert it into a mob. So if I'm going to attack you with 8 ghasts, here's the quick stats for a mob of 8 ghasts attacking your characters. But the mob rules don't quite work, so I'm going to have to build out a matrix for, if this is your armor class, this mob of 4. The problem is I've got say 4 ghouls in a mob. If you kill one, now you only have 3 ghouls in a mob, 2 ghouls in a mob, now you only have 1 ghoul. It's not a mob. And that's going to change the percentages of the chance to hit isn't going to change, but it's, instead of being like 1 out of 4 ghouls will hit, well, if 1 out of 4 ghouls hit, what do I do with these fucking 3 ghouls? I'm back on to percentages. What am I supposed to do? Roll a percentile dice at this point? It doesn't elegantly solve the problem. It doesn't walk you through how often, like, how do you shift gears? Or like, well, if the mob changes, just change the percentages. It's like, but that's a very difficult thing to do on the fly. So I need to rebuild the mob rules or figure out a way to express those smoothly so that players can use them. Because I like the idea of attacking the players with 12 specters. But I want to make it easy to do. When I will concede that when I was running playtesting for this, I was using my mass combat rules because I was developing mass combat rules. This was a great opportunity to do that. And when it came up, it worked really well, so I continued working on it and then put it on hold for Spelljammer and then got back to this and realized, fuck, I'm not going to have those rules published before this adventure is published. I can't. I need to shift. I need to figure that out. And so currently my plan to figure it out is once I finish the layouts for the adventure is then go into each of the monster stat blocks and build those out using 2024 rules and see how I can integrate those mob mechanics from the DMG to be a little more practical for people to use. Or just to provide guidelines. Like if you have 4 or 3, this is how many hits. If you have 2 attacking, then only 1 out of 2. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about using the recharge die system that I already have incorporated into the mass combat. That would be easy enough to use just to make a quick conversion using the stats that I would normally use. And then like on a recharge, like if the mob is 9 creatures, for instance, deal triple damage, and on a recharge die on a 5 or a 6, that recharges. Like it's double damage normally, and then on your recharge die, if you roll a 5 or a 6, then it becomes triple damage. So you can deal scaling damage like that. That's like a really simplistic way of approaching it. Like that's very brief, but that's what you'll see. Because being able to attack high-level characters with hordes of monsters is a legitimate threat, and it's fun to put them on their end like that. But again, Wizards isn't living up to what they used to be able to do. Like in 3rd edition, they could tackle that problem and create a sensible solution. But 2024, I don't know what happened to their team, but they don't have the chops to do it anymore. I don't think they have the budget and the manpower to play with those ideas, so they have to prioritize things that are a little bit more mainstream. Or if they introduce these niche ideas, they have to be very trite with it. They can't afford like a 100-page deep dive into ship combat mechanics. That's not going to help the common. The casual players is going to bounce off of that, and it's going to be a complete waste of their time. I get that. I know that's why couture designers like us have the DMsGuild space in the first place, to be able to do these things. But everything they do, if they would play with these mini games more, there's so much they could do with the 5e game engine. They could expand on their books so well. But alas, earwax. Yeah, let's do that. That feels pretty good. Hey, Francois. Yeah, Mary. Thanks for hanging out, Gob. I don't know how to call you yet. I'm making up nicknames for you. I think it's because they hired D. Well, I don't talk politics on this channel, so fair enough. Yeah, Mary. Thanks for hanging out, Gob. Well, I don't talk politics on this channel, so fair enough. Go here, let's grab up this highlight in here. There we go. And let's merge down. Let's get that in there like that. That's good space. Oh, wait. That's pretty good. There. I'm pretty happy with that. Hey, hey, Fox. I know, right? I've been waiting like a month or so. I know, right? I've been waiting like a month or so. Oh man, I can hear myself. That always bothers me. Some backlighting here. Oh man, I can hear myself. That always bothers me. I don't know. Maybe I want to smooth it out a bit. It's, I've got a separate layer going. Let's explore a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I want to smooth it out a bit. Maybe I want to give him a shrimp tail. Seagulls outside are screaming, probably fighting crows over trash at the dumpster. Oh man, that guy's pitching a fit. I'm only 2 miles away from the shore, so we get seagulls hanging out on our rooftops around here all the time. I'm only 2 miles away from the shore, so we get. Is this how I want to do? I don't know, maybe. I kind of like that. I like that a lot. Oh, from the 3 guy, it's been a long time since I looked at it. Oh, from the 3 guy, it's been a long time since I looked at it. Uh-oh, what time is it? 7:30, cool. Really? Wow, God, time. I am got some time distortion going on this morning. Hey, it's episode 420, that makes sense. I feel like I've been here for a while. I like that. It feels good. I am really, really looking forward to arting at night. It's I didn't stream Monday night because I was helping family with vacation stuff, but I was done helping out by 8, and I was like, well, I can't stream. It's too late. I'm just gonna do some artwork tonight for the fun of it, and I just got to sit back and listen to Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and Queensryche and just paint. It was so satisfying. I'm gonna use this. Cornucopia. He looks different from the other Yugoloth, so he has a lot to prove. Fun. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna merge that. I like that. So, cheers. Okay. There and. Fret over the foreshortening over here for a little bit. Just gonna dance around. Just bounce from area to area. Whatever's grabbing my attention on this dude, we'll just futz on. Got about 20 minutes left, so go play. That and shift it just a smidge. It still feels tilted. Let's free transform. Let's use skew, and then rotate. That feels a little bit more on point. These feel a little off now. Yeah, that works. I'm pretty happy with that. What's up? Looks a lot like an extra. Yeah, I'm good with that. God, I hate when you get that one bent out of shape. Must. Too funny. Donut. Well, now I want Krispy Kremes. Krispy Kreme is evil. I should really not want that. Dude, it's so funny. I every couple years I'll buy McDonald's just to remind myself of what it's like and that I shouldn't. And so I go. There's McDonald's just down the street from where I'm at, and I walk through the door, and somehow I'm now in a Panera's. Like, why am I in a Panera's? Because it was next to each other, and I used the wrong door. Ended up in a Panera instead of McDonald's. I'm like, well, I guess that's fate. So I ordered a turkey avocado sandwich. It was fucking amazing. Why am I in a Panera's? Because it was next to each other, and I used the wrong door. Like, what? Well, I guess that's fate. So I ordered a turkey avocado sandwich. Like what? Now, if the adventure goes well, the characters are never going to run into this guy. But I needed to include him because you don't know what players are going to do. Now, if the adventure goes well, the characters are never going to run into this guy. But I needed to include him because you don't know what players are going to do. Yeah, circles at an angle or rings are a bitch. The foreshortening is just such a stinger sometimes. I don't have to get it perfect because the scale is small, but yeah, that actually feels pretty good. I can be happy with that. Scepter. Easy opportunity for some foreshortening overlap. Take advantage of that. Good. Good. I'm good with that. What's up? I love when players ignore adventure hooks. I just let the villains carry out their plans, making for bigger problems for the players. Yeah, that's a pretty organic way to play the game. So knowing like a lot of times all you really got to do is know what their motives are, the means that they have available to achieve those motives, and where the limits are at. Like that's often all you really need. Of course, in a published adventure, you have to spell all of that stuff out, but we have. So, cheers. But yeah, just letting the characters roam free and do what they want without an agenda, not caring. That's the great thing about DMing. If you really just let the players do what they want, have actual agency in the game. The DM really just hold on. Yeah, the DM really shouldn't care how the characters approach the adventure, because whatever it is that they decide to do becomes the new hinge for the rest of the campaign. Like, that's the next step. If they decide that they want to be bad guys, let's be bad guys. You know, if they decide that they want to save the world, then it certainly needs rescuing. But you set the pieces in motion and you let them resolve it the way that they think it should be resolved. As a DM, it's just my job to be able to logically think through what would be the fallout of them attempting to do this thing and allow hilarity to ensue. Like, how would the NPCs react to a dance off? You know, would they just crit you on sight, or would they actually attempt to compete against you so that you could distract them like turd blossoms? It's up, you know, if your villain would indulge in something like that, then, you know, now you're playing Dance Dance Nation. If not, then just, you know, roll for combat. Too bad. But, you know, the DM would know. Or if they don't know, they decide. That's basically, you know, the real of it. I don't know how the fuck. Well, maybe it makes sense. Give me a second. How would they respond to this? Like, I'm like that all the time. I'm like, hold on a second. Let me think about this. That normally fills the character, the players with satisfaction, knowing that they've stumped me, at least for a moment. It's like, wait a second, I didn't plan for this. Like, when they say, wait a second, I didn't plan for this, they actually like hearing that, because they know that they're catching me off guard, and my players over years just trust that I operate in the pillar of inanity, and that if they come up with a stupid fun idea, that I'm going to have stupid fun with it. No, and I do theater of the mind almost all the time in my own home table, so it's really difficult for them to tell when I planned something and when I didn't. So then, for me, tilting my hand like that, hold on a second, let me figure out how that would work. That's like a personal game that they have of like trying to catch me off guard. Because they know I don't care. They know I really don't care what they do. It's just I build scenarios based off of the logic of what they've done, and the entertainment as a DM that I have is watching them tear it apart. I don't have a plot for me to. I don't have a story to tell. I'm not writing a fucking novel. I don't care about any of that shit. It's just this is the world that I built. Throw something at it and let's watch how it falls apart. And to me, you can just DM like the idea of DM burnout. That's I recognize it, and it only happens to me when I try too hard. If I really don't give a shit and just let the players do whatever they want, I never burn out, because it's always just like, what happened now? What happened now? What happened now? And just keep adapting the world and taking those, whatever the new monkey wrenches that the team threw at the world, have the world figure it out and respond accordingly. I love that. It's so fun. Cut, paste. I keep lamenting that it's been like forever since I've ran a mega dungeon, because it's been forever since I've structured adventures. Almost everything that I do is improv. Once I know where they are, who's involved, and what their motives are, I'm pretty much just good to go. Let's throw dice, figure out what happens. I don't care. But like playtesting, structured adventures like this, it's so different from how I conduct my day-to-day games. I honestly enjoy and appreciate building 5e content like this, because it feels like it keeps me connected to my roots, because I've strayed so far away from the original premise of how D&D works, but those were my roots, so it feels good to revisit them. I'm gonna bring this hand in a bit. Yeah, that feels better. So those were my roots, so it feels good to revisit. Oh, I need to catch up. You didn't want to help the church with the theocrat infestation, with the rat infestation. You wanted to chase some gold. Well, when you return from hunting gold, were rat infestation taking over. Yeah, exactly. It's whatever your team decides to chase, everything else escalates. So they eventually have to turn around and go take care of that. That's what I call braiding, where you have like at least 3 plot lines, like three plots in motion at any given time. So whichever one the team wants to focus on, the other 2 have a chance to grow. And so once they take care of the second one, then the third is allowed to grow even further, and a new one has been introduced. So they're constantly threading through 3 different plot lines that are constantly evolving and entering or exiting relevance to the campaign. And they can have things that they've ignored for 6 levels come back around and bite them in the ass like you're talking about. Absolutely. It's a very organic campaign. It takes very minimum effort to actually make them run. Yeah, exactly. One campaign we were running in Dark Sun, they ignored a plot line so long that it ended up ending the campaign because the plot line was going to destroy the world. So there was a timer going, and they all died. Like, this campaign is over. Like, what the fuck? It's like, they're like, you know what? Okay, we weren't really doing anything important. Let's do something new. They were cool with it. That's when I realized it felt bad to me, though, and I felt really guilty about doing it. But they were all seriously like, no, this is fine. Don't worry about it. But we were having fun, but something new would actually be really cool. So like it worked out. But that's always been something I've kind of held on to as, I shouldn't do things like that. It felt they didn't know it was coming. I didn't foreshadow it properly. I didn't let them really recognize the stakes that were involved for ignoring the plot line that was causing this. So I screwed up a lot as a DM in that instance. But I mean, I learned from it. So now I know how to foreshadow or how to put emphasis on things a little bit better. I'm just lucky to have a team that enjoyed me enough running games to give me the grace and opportunity to actually get good at doing it. But I suspect they never doubted that I was going to be good at it, so I think they were just investing in a good narrator. Yep. Darken all that up in here. Oh shit. This is a kind of short session today because my camera and my light and all that shit, that was... Shut up. 7:54. Okay, I've only got a few minutes left. I gotta say, doing anything other than Undead's feeling pretty good right now. I'm actually looking forward to getting over here into the artifacts, having just some objects instead of organic stuff. That sounds like a fun gear to switch to for a little while. I gotta say, doing anything other than Undead's feeling pretty good right now. But yeah, this is the only stream I'm having today, so I'll be off until tomorrow morning. We'll continue, and then tomorrow night we're gonna work on the Bastion campaign a little bit more. I'm feeling really good about the facilities right now. Really, really good about those. This book is good. I think that book is going to be ready to go for second and third stage by the time we're done with this adventure. Yeah, by the time we finish this adventure, I think the Bastion campaign book is going to be pretty much ready to go into probably potentially even into edits. Yeah, by the time we finish this adventure, I think the Bastion campaign book is going to be pretty much ready to go into layout. I need to play with the dice pool a little bit first before I really sign off on it, because there's a couple different ways we could play it out. But I'm really confident about it. And we've been using a similar system at my home table that I'm gaming today for the past year, so I know the general premise of it works, and the general mechanics are effective. We're just building specifically for the 5e game engine and reimagining the Bastions that they have. We approach it differently in Guild Delvers, but the mechanics are the same. So this is a matter of balancing the features in the facilities that we're offering in the 5e version to make sure that they curve well in the gameplay. So I'm gonna be playing with some of these like stacking dice effects. I know they work well because of the martial power system uses stacking dice as well, and it was really effective in the 16th through 20th level campaign that I was playtesting it in. So I like the stacking dice effect. It works really well in the mass combat rules that we have for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book that we published. So the stacking dice, like the statistical curve of stacking those dice, isn't problematic to me at all. It's just how much curve do I want to have? Like, how many benefits have we provided? How outrageous will it become? So I'm going to play with that a little bit before I really lock down how each facility works. But so far, it's been coming along really well. I got to get out of here. My muse isn't letting me go. She wants to pick at this just a little bit longer. It's looking pretty good. Let's catch up on you guys. I'm going to bounce. Grew up role playing with a group of guys 20 years. Yeah, I love that. So I had some great examples to learn from. My players always give me a ton of compliments on my games. So I'm glad to hear it, Francois. My parents are super experienced, and that leads to all sorts of other issues. Yeah, tricking them, surprising them, and having enough narrative depth to be able to satisfy a really veteran group. That's being able to do that is a huge compliment. Agreed. Being able to keep it up is the challenge. But if you've grown to that level of power, then that's the level of threat that you can easily resolve, as we were talking. So, all right, I got to go, guys. Great hanging out with y'all. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Really looking forward. I should have this Eagle off done by tomorrow morning. I'll see if I can get online a little bit earlier tomorrow or not. But I'm out of here for now, so catch you guys later. Thanks a lot.